Hey, Symphonic Band, I don't know if you've seen the news yet, but the party resumes February 1st. We'll be coming back to hybrid school on that week, and I'm excited to get you guys back in person. So for this week's virtual assignment, you guys are going to be having a Zoom session with us, and then we'll also be having you turn in a recording of yourself working on 3 different examples. The first one is number 12 out of your book. The second one is number 13, and then the third example is number 17. So for number 12, the F concert scale, we want to hear the scale and the arpeggio, and I'm not worried about the chords at the end. I want to hear it clean, and I want to hear you articulating every single note, and you can pick a tempo that works for you. So I'll just quickly play through this scale the way that I would do it. Okay, feel free to take breaths where you see the breath marks indicated. There's one above bar 4, and there's also one, well, obviously at the very end. Just want to point out for you in this key that you need to make sure that when you're looking at the accidentals or the notes that you play, since we're an F concert, the 7th note is going to be an E natural, an F sharp, a C sharp, whatever it is for your particular instrument. So just make sure you monitor that. If you play a scale that sounds like this, you're doing it wrong. That 7th note on the saxophone, I played a C natural. That's not correct. I need to make sure I'm watching my key signature. So using that exact same key signature, we're now going to take a look at number 13, which is called the Knuckle Buster. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is one of my favorite examples out of the book. When you work on this example, I want you to make sure that you're really diligent in playing it slowly at first, and then eventually you're going to build up speed. And this becomes really fun to play when you can play it quickly. I'd like to point out to you that there's a repeat section. So if you're looking at the first measure, you play through the top line, you go to the second line. When you take that repeat sign, you're going to go all the way back to the beginning of the example, play through the top line again. You've got one measure right before the ending, and then you're going to skip the first ending, go to the second ending, and then you'll finish it up that way. Also want to point out that other than the key signature, which we already told you, watch the key signature, and other than the repeats, the third thing to pay attention to is your articulation. Here at the beginning of this example, you've got 4 eighth notes that are all connected together, and then another 4 eighth notes connected together. Common thing I'll hear students do is something like this. Making up your own articulation. That couldn't be any more wrong than it is. So make sure that you're slurring all 4. You'll tongue the first note, blow through the next 3, tongue count 3, and blow through the next 3 notes after that, like this. Should have heard me tongue a total of 3 times. Count 1, count 3, and count 1 of the next measure. I'm going to play through this slowly, and then I'll show you a quick way to play through it. So this is slowly. Play through the rest of it and take the second ending, but I'll save you the time. So that's slowly through it. Now, what I want you to do is not just play it slowly and feel good that you got it right and then move on. No, to really gain what you need to gain out of this example, you need to try and build some speed and see how quickly you can play it. So I'll play it through fast. And I'll skip the first ending, I'll just jump straight to the second ending to save time. I would be so proud if any of you could play it that quick or even faster. So the only way you're going to build that speed is if you start slow, take it up a notch, take it up a notch, and take it up a notch. The last example that you're going to be turning into us for a recording this week is called Syncopation Sensation. That's number 17. In this example, you are not going to play for us in your recordings. What you're actually going to do is clap the bottom rhythms that have X's through them while you're counting out loud the top rhythms. So what I want to do, I'm going to break these apart real quick. I'm going to start first off by clapping the bottom rhythms, and you know, you can rewind your video and clap along with me and make sure that you're in time, okay? So here are the bottom rhythms. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2. Simple enough on the bottom line. Now the top line has a concept in music that we call syncopation, which basically places, as you'll see on the top of page 5, the emphasis on an offbeat. So when you're hearing some kind of driving rhythm, you get this emphasis. I had a student once upon a time when I asked to define syncopation, her definition that she gave was you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. So I'll let you guys think about that little nerdy joke that I am quoting there from a former student. Counting through the top line, you'll notice in bar 2, there are 2/8 notes that are connected together. And so you would say 1, and then you would say and, but that and is now connected to count 2 in that measure. So you're not going to say count 2, but you hold through count 2. Then you have an and at the end of the measure. So what you're saying is 1 and. And so when you're trying to figure out syncopation, one of the things I always make students do when you're in front of me is I pretend like this is the floor and this is your foot on top of the floor. And anytime that you say a number, your foot is on the floor. Anytime that you say an offbeat or an and, your foot is up in the air. So this would be the number 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So make sure when you're counting, you guys practice stomping your foot on the floor. You can just tap the heel on the floor. That way you can feel the groove and help keep yourself accountable to staying in time. So here's how you would count the top half here. All right, I'm just going to click to give a beat, and here we go. 1 and 2 and 1 and 1 and 1. 1 and 2 and 1 and 1 and 1. So that's the top half. So what are you going to be turning in to us for your recording this week? Well, you're going to clap the bottom part while you count the top part out loud. So I've seen some of you try and walk and chew gum at the same time, and that's never a pretty sight. In this case, I just want to warn you ahead of time, it's going to take some practice on your part to execute this process. It's basically no different than playing a drum set, and it works different parts of your brain, and really is kind of a difficult skill to master, so practice it slowly. And I'm going to demonstrate slowly how to do this right now. So here's my beat. Here we go. Beginning. 1 and 2 and 1 and 1 and 1. 1 and 2 and 1 and 1 and 1. I'll say it again. Do this one slowly. If you want to impress myself or Mr. Zare or Mr. P, whoever's watching your video, then you're welcome to practice that and turn in something really quick. That's great. But keep in mind, I'm a 37-year-old man with hair that hasn't been cut since I haven't seen you guys last. And if a 37-year-old man just did it that slowly, then you probably should take this down tempo so you can be slow and accurate with it. Good luck. We'll see you on Zoom this week.